Well, I've been here for a while. Easy living drives me wild, and it's time for me to see if there's some better place for me. And I don't care where I go, rock and roll will be my home. Rock and roll.
Hi there, it's Thursday night. It's Collinsville, Virginia, BTW 21. My name's Boyce. I'm a veterinarian from Patrick County, Virginia, and the name of the show is Off the Track because that's where we get. And tonight we got one of my all-time favorite guests. We had him on this time last year, had a great show, and he had a great show. Mr. Scott Rudder, who wrestles by the name of Scott Lee. Right?
Yes, sir.
Right?
That's right.
And Scott works for Piedmont Community Services, so some of you may know him in his Clark Kent guys. But he also has you've got a school for martial arts.
Yeah, I also operate Rudder's Martial Arts in Bassett and Floyd, Virginia.
So he's in Bassett and Floyd, so if you've ever thought about taking up martial arts, this would be a great teacher. I'm sure he could really teach you some things. Because I noticed you won your wrestling match last year. We were cheering for you. My guys were really having a ball. And that was Cougar Clash 1. It was the first time you ever did that.
That was the first one. Yes, sir. That was the last year we did Cougar Clash 1 to help raise money for the Patrick County Athletics.
Yep.
This year, Cougar Clash 2, it was a very good success last year. We've had a lot of talk of wanting us to come back. And with that, we're doing a fundraiser event for the JROTC program.
And it's October 22nd, 2016. That's coming up pretty soon. That's a Saturday night. Bell time is 7:30. Doors open at 6. And it's at the Patrick County High School. Benefits the Patrick County JROTC program. And I got to tell you, I went to the one last year to see what it was all about after interviewing these guys. And I was totally blown away. I've been in entertainment myself. I've seen a lot of shows, been to a lot of things. This was some of the most entertainment I think I've ever seen. It was not what you would think. It's not TV wrestling. It's better. It is so much better than the TV wrestling. This is a great thing to take your kids to. They'll love it. My kids just were mesmerized the whole time. And of course, when Scott climbed in the ring, they were on their feet cheering the whole time he was out there. And it really was exciting. It was really something to it. And exciting. And also, the guys, some of them were downright hilarious. I mean, just really could keep you laughing. And I don't know his name, but there was a guy on there. He was about my age. And he looked like Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, which is one of my favorite movies. And he was just fantastic. You know, and we're sitting there in this auditorium in the gym with a lot of people in there. And I noticed the whole crowd was spellbound throughout the whole thing. They were on their feet yelling. They were screaming for it. And the kids all seemed to have a great time.
Right, and that's the objective. That's the goal. And like you hit the nail on the head. This isn't what you see on TV.
No.
I mean, and you said this was better. I'm glad to hear that because
it
that's
is
something.
Better.
Yeah,
I'm
glad to hear that.
Better.
But you know, with this, it's Pure Pro Wrestling, and I also co-own with a very good friend of mine who also is wrestling on the show, Ken Steele, National Independent Championship Wrestling. So we've joined forces for this event as a co-promotional event to help do this benefit. And both promotions, they believe in old school wrestling. And I'm going to tell you, especially with NICW, you know, you're not going to see anything as old school. I mean, out of every other organization around, this is the most old school pro wrestling organization that you're ever going to see. We This is, if you watch the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling,
Yep.
this is what it takes you back to. And when you look at the stars in that era, that of the tradition of pro wrestling, that was an awesome era. You're looking at the Ric Flairs and the Roddy Pipers and
Ric Flair,
and
I remember.
right, and the Dusty Rhodes. But you're looking at that, and I'm talking about the Mid-Atlantic, not the NWA. But,
But the Mid-Atlantic.
Right, and you're looking at that. This is, you come to these events and you're watching us. This is what it kind of takes you back to, the tradition, back when wrestling meant something, and people, and something you could take your kids to and you could watch and have a good time and enjoy. And this, like I said, this is old school as it gets. And there's with the talent that's on this show, that's on this card. There's literally people from Maryland to Florida, New York, New Orleans, Louisiana. We've got people from traveling to come to do this show, but we've also got people, and I'm Bassett myself, but Ken Steele, born and raised in Stewart, Virginia, hometown boy, coming back last year. He was able to take the title, win the NICW heavyweight title, I think for the third time against Colonel Spud Wade. This year, him and his team, they've had a 6-man tag team tournament all through the Mid-Atlantic regions during this whole year. And the main event is the two top 6-man teams will be Ken Steele, the War Machines, Ken Steele, Sin Crowley, and Jeffrey Irons against the Starliners. And the Starliners are out of Roanoke. All three of those people are out of Roanoke area. So when you're looking at, we got people and wrestlers from all over, but there's some local talent as well.
So you need to come and cheer on the local guys, so that we can support them as they battle it out with the guys from Roanoke. Mm-hmm. But if you remember, some of you my age may remember Mid-Atlantic Wrestling used to come on Saturday nights on, usually, if you could get it, Channel 3 in Charlotte.
Okay, right.
And sometimes they would, Channel 2 in Greensboro would pick it up. And you could see it without so much snow. And it was very entertaining. I remember it from when I was a little bitty kid watching Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. And I remember those old, the Great Bolos. I think they were a Mid-Atlantic team for a while. And
okay, right.
And I remember Ric Flair, but he was, of course, just a kid.
Right. Ric Flair's been everywhere.
He's been everywhere. He's done a lot of stuff in wrestling, But he's. But y'all were really so entertaining. Tell me a little bit more about the Machine Ken Steele from Stewart, Virginia, because he was on the show with us last year, I think.
No, he didn't make it last year. This
show?
year he was planning on making it today. He had some travel issues and couldn't make it down today. The plane didn't make it from New Orleans. So anyway, he's born and raised in Patrick County, and his ultimate goal, he's wrestled, I would say, 22, 23 years. He's been everywhere. He's wrestled for WCW and ECW and some of the bigger promotions. He's been, like I said, all around the world, Puerto Rico. He's been in Pro Wrestling Illustrated top 500 wrestlers in the world 2 times. And he was recently this year in the top 100 independent pro wrestlers. He was also in that. I'm going to tell you, if you've ever seen this man, I've been privileged to call him my tutor. He's trained me in this sport. But I've also had the disprivilege of being on the other side of the ring against him, and also have had the privilege of being holding tag team championship gold with him on several different occasions. And you've seen this man in the ring. You're looking at 6'4", almost 300 pounds. He's a big boy.
Yeah. But he doesn't use any props. You don't either. You guys look just like yourselves.
Right. Well, I mean, he's, like I said, he's just old school. If you describe him, Ken Steele, I mean, he's one of the best big men I've ever seen in the ring. But, he's old school wrestling.
Yep, he did really good. It was very entertaining. This Spud guy, what'd you say? Is he going to be there?
He's not going to be there this time, unfortunately. Yeah, he's not able to wrestle. He's had some injuries and different things.
No, sorry to hear it. Because he comes on like what is he like he's supposed to be a drill sergeant or a Marine? Or
military, yes sir.
He's very sort of got a lot of military props, and he was really entertaining, folks. I'll tell you, he was also kind of intimidating. And I wouldn't want to get in a ring with him, but he came out there. But if I remember right, he lost his match. Though.
He did. Ken Steele was able to take the NICW heavyweight title from him. He beat him that night, and which was in his hometown. So that was made it bittersweet for Ken.
And as they say, the crowd went wild. We had a great time. You really need to go to this thing. And so let me reiterate, October the 22nd. And that's coming up pretty soon. That's a week from this Saturday, right?
That's right. Yes, sir.
And it's at the Patrick County High School Gymnasium. They have a terrific ring. That was the other thing I was really impressed with. It's a traveling ring.
It is. Right.
And but it's beautiful. It's really a nice ring. It's not a piece of junk at all. and you got guy with the bell. I mean, it is old, like you said. Old style wrestling. It really took me back.
When you come to the show and you see the setup and you see the ring and you see how everything is laid out, it is as professional gets in pro wrestling.
It really is. It's not what I was expecting, to be honest with you. And I got there and I was seriously blown away. And I was thinking to myself, this is one of the most entertaining things that I've seen in years.
Right.
It was really good. And there's a lot of fun, a lot of good food. Who's doing your food this year? Who's your concession?
The JROTC program is going to be doing the concessions with the Patrick County High School. They're going to be in charge of concessions this year.
So I don't know about the JROTC. It might be MREs, but don't worry. I had something to do with developing those MREs. That was one of my jobs in the military, was to work on the inspection process for the MRE. Basically, we sat around and ate a whole bunch of MREs, and we decided that if an MRE goes bad, nobody in their right mind would eat it. And if it looks good, they're good. So the inspection of an MRE is real simple, but they're great eating. So if they just have a bunch of tray packs and MREs, eat it, you'll love it. That food was developed for the military by Marriott Food Services.
That's interesting.
Why not hire them? They're the guys that put all that food on airplanes. They're experts at safe preservation of very tasty meals that can be easily prepared. They're the guys, you know.
Right.
You wouldn't go up here and pick some 4-star restaurant to make military meals, you know. Although, I got to tell you, the whole time I was doing that, I was thinking there's something comforting about, I don't know if you're way too young, but we used to have those seed rations, and there were several things about them. You had a little PK-38 that you used to open the cans with,
right?
And there was something about you'd be sitting there and you'd open up this little green tin can at night with your little flashlights, you know, and you'd pop the lid open, and there'd be a little biscuit sitting in there. And there was just something homey about that biscuit, you know. It really tasted good because you had nothing decent to eat during the previous day. And it was, so just my advice, if you ever buy a box of old surplus C rations, which you can eat them if you want to, if the cans are swollen, don't eat them. And the other thing about them is, stay away from the scrambled eggs. Those things were, I guess if you were starving to death, you'd eat them. But if you like the scrambled eggs, you could always have scrambled eggs because the guys that trade with you for anything else. Because the way you distribute them is you take the big case, you turn it upside down, you cut out the bottom of the box, and make everybody take their C's out so they can't tell what they're getting. Because otherwise they'll cherry pick it. Salisbury steak was really good. That was a prime. That one and the hamburger. You know, so. But the MREs now, those are good. great eating.
Interesting facts.
How did we get off the track?
I don't know. We'll go back to the card here.
So how long? How long have you been organizing wrestling?
Well, I've actually been wrestling. This is my 12th or 13th year. I lose track. We're looking right at about 12 years I've been wrestling.
Gosh,
and
what'd you do? Start when you were 5?
not quite that, but now Ken Steele, he's promoted shows in NICW for about 10 years, or actually maybe a little bit longer than that. I know about 10 years ago, me and him had met and became very, very good friends. Like I said, he became my mentor and trained me. And I think NICW was started around 2006, 2007, somewhere around that time. And during the last 4, 5, 6 years, me and him's kind of been working together on promoting NICW. And so far, we've been pretty successcil.
Well, that's great. Why don't we talk about some of these other wrestlers?
Sure.
I don't remember too many of them. Sin Crowley, he's in the tag team with Kenny Steele.
Yeah, Sin Crowley is actually wrestles full time with Pure Pro Wrestling, our one of the promotions that we're teamed up with. That myself and Ken Steele also wrestle with, and he's been on the scenes in North Carolina area, doing some stuff here in locally in Virginia with Pure Pro Wrestling. Sin's been he's the I think he's the holder of the one of the Southeastern heavyweight titles for Pure Pro Wrestling, and he's been around for a couple of years. Kids, I know the kids love him. Face paint, kind of looks like it looks like one of the members from Kiss, if you see him. So the kids love him. He's face painted up, long hair.
Now look, that's worth the price of admission to see one of the Kiss guys out there wrestling.
He's not from Kiss. Let's not give him
Kiss. Yeah, it's not exactly like Kiss, but he does the face paint thing.
Right.
Now, was he here last year?
He was not. No, he wasn't there last year.
Yeah, I think I would have remembered that.
Right, and they're teaming up with Jeffrey Irons. Jeff is from Rocky Mount area. Jeff was on the card. He was on the show last year. I can't remember right off the top of my head who he wrestled with last year, but he wrestled last year, and I remember he had a really good match. I can remember, and I think he won his match. One of the crowd favorites as well.
And then they're going to be wrestling Mike Williams, Rick Kelly, and Audrey White.
Right.
Aubrey White.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is a 6-man tag team.
Right, 6-man tag team, and it's not just a 6-man tag team match. It's actually, when you go back, we talked about old school and tradition, and you're looking at the original 6-man tag teams. They had a 6-man tag team championship, but when you're not looking at it as belts, it was a trophy they used to carry, and so they we talked about the MidAtlantic. We're doing this in the MidAtlantic region, but this show is kind of based on our NICW, and Pure Pro Wrestling is all about the MidAtlantic era. And so this they did a 6-man tag team tournament, and these are the two teams that are in the finals for the MidAtlantic 6-man tag team championship.
So the 6-man tag team was around probably before the standard 4-man tag team that we're probably more familiar with.
Right.
So if you watch wrestling, sometimes emotions take precedent, and toward the end of the match, sometimes they kind of jump in the ring when they're maybe out of turn. You might say it's like Tim Kaine at a debate, and they jump in there and start beating on the other guy when they haven't been actually tagged.
Right.
And so if you got a 6-man tag team, you've got the potential for a brawl,
right?
Or a riot.
It gets chaotic. So think about the referee in that position.
Yeah, think about it. I loved your referee last year too. He was great. Mm-hmm. He really managed to keep the lid on and keep the show moving along. And then you got Ricky Morton. Tell me something about Ricky Morton.
Well, if you remember the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah, last year.
Right. Well, last year we had the Midnight Express. We had Bobby Eaton, beautiful Bobby Eaton from the Midnight Express. Remember, Rock and Roll is always
that.
Right. It was always Rock and Roll Express, and the Midnight Express has had a 30, 40-year feud. They've been battling out, but for years. But this year we're fortunate to have Ricky Morton. Actually, not just appearance. Last year we had Bobby Eaton came and signed autographs and met with the fans. He
was down there on the sidelines.
Yeah, he's had some health issues, so he's not able to wrestle anymore. But this year, we were able to get Ricky Morton not only to come and do a meet and greet and sign autographs and all that, but he's actually in action wrestling.
Gonna be wrestling Jimmy Love
against his name is Handsome Jimmy Love. Jimmy's out of he does a lot of shows and wrestles. He's in Pure Pro Wrestling, but he does a lot of stuff in Pelham, North Carolina, and Montvale, Virginia. He does a lot of stuff in this area. So Jimmy Love's also been wrestling for well over 25 plus years, a lot of experience. He's pretty well known in our area. I've seen them go at it before. I'm looking forward to seeing that match myself. I mean, that's going to be a very tough contest with them both, and something that I can pretty much tell you that the fans will not be disappointed.
They will love it.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll also love, you've got a regular standard 4-man tag team, which is a title match.
Right. It's for, like I said, myself with NICW. You're looking at, this is for the NICW Tag Team Championships. The Overlords, they were there last year.
I kind of remember them.
Yeah, they
didn't behave themselves very well. Was that them?
I didn't see it. I don't know. I didn't see it.
That's right.
Busy.
You were hiding in the back.
I was in the back, actually probably getting done from my match when they came out. But another team, Face Paint, face painted up. They've got the looks like the big shoulder pads, kind of like the Road Warriors. If you're looking at if you're looking at their picture there.
Yeah. I remember them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Thunder Morgan is on the right on the poster, and
they didn't do what the referee told them to.
They didn't? Okay.
They kind of acted up.
Wow. Well.
But they paid for their sins. They lost their match, if I remember right.
No, they won. They're the tag team. They're the NICW tag team champions. I think the other team.
The champions.
Yeah, I think the other team is the ones you were thinking.
Maybe.
But they're the tag team champions. Bad Boy Barry Hardy. And Thunder Morgan, they're known as the Overlords.
But I remember that match. It was really exciting.
Yeah, but they're wrestling against Frank the Tank Parker, another guy with some long-term experience.
Yeah.
25, 30 years possibly. I would say at least 25 years in the business wrestling out of Roanoke. So, I mean, he's a fairly local boy. And he's a tag team partner. You want to think about some old school names. Think about the name of the Assassin, if you remember that.
I do.
And you got the Assassin 1, Assassin 2. Well, this time we've got Assassin number 3. So you got a little old school coming with that as well.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So he's like the third assassin.
The third assassin. Yep.
Yeah. That's like I always figured ZZ Top, when they grew all that hair, that members of the band could actually die, and they just find some guy that can grow all that hair and stick him up there on stage. It ain't that hard to do ZZ Top songs. We used to do them with Justice Band, so you can find talent to do that.
Right. Okay.
That band could go on 100 years and still be ZZ Top. So hope I didn't offend any ZZ Top fans out there. But I'm not sure who you're looking at there. It might be ZZ Top 3 or 4. Anyhow, we got off the track again.
That's okay.
But Assassin 3, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
What does he look like?
You know what? I don't know much. Honestly, I don't know much about Assassin number 3. This would be the first time I've seen him actually in the ring wrestling myself. So we actually there's not a his name. His picture's not on the poster here. So I guess his debut will be here at this event.
Wrestling for the title match.
And tag team title match.
That would be a big deal. Mm-hmm. And then the main event is Scott Lee here is going to get in the ring with somebody named Zane Wolf.
Well, unfortunately, we're not actually the main event. The main event is actually the 6-man tag team match.
Yeah, but I was kind of fluffing you up a little bit there, buddy.
I appreciate the plug
My
there.
kids waited for you. I tell you what, that last show they went to, they really enjoyed it, and they kept asking me. They said, "Is your friend gonna come down here and sit with us?" I said, "No, you got to stay back there and do all that." So anyway, tell me about Zane Wolf. Who are you going after?
I'm going to tell you, this match is for the NICW MidAtlantic Heritage Championship. We talked about earlier about old school. We talked about the MidAtlantic, and the championship that I've been blessed to have for a while now is what represents the MidAtlantic, and it represents the old school wrestling. It represents the legends, and this match, we're actually Zane and myself, no strangers to each other for the last couple of years.
Have y'all been in the ring?
We've been in the ring against each other, and the first time we've had our encounter, I got the 1, 2, 3, and later on, later on down the road, we face each other again, and I'm not the kind of wrestler that comes out and complains or makes any excuses. I mean, he beat me. I mean, he held the ropes. There's a little cheating involved, but I mean, a win's a win is his business. Yeah. And you take it how you get it. So he got that one up on me. So this match, we're going to settle it once and for all. It's 2 out of 3 falls. 2 out of 3 falls match for the MidAtlantic title. And we're going to settle this once and for all.
Well, I hope you settle it. I hope y'all have a good time, and I'm sure you'll win.
Yeah, well, we'll see. He's a tough guy.
I had Jed, when I told him, I said, there he is. There's the guy I had on TV. And they really got into it, man.
I'm glad, and that's what it's about. It's a family oriented show. It's nothing, some people will tell me before that we like to go, but it's we're afraid of language and all kinds of stuff like that.
Nothing like that. It's nothing like that. It's a great show. It's wrestling, like you said, old style wrestling, not what you see on TV. Doesn't have all of that fluff stuff. They did a couple of little skits that were pretty funny, and so it's got some entertainment, just pure entertainment, but also it's got a lot of really down to earth, old time, Mid-Atlantic pro wrestling.
That's right.
Just like I remember from Channel 3, looking through the snow. What was the name of that guy down there that used to do the announcing? I forget his name. Great big guy, must have weighed 400 pounds. Had on a tweed suit, had a big old mustache here, his hair all greased back. Carried one of them microphones about 4 feet long on the end of a stick. And get out there and interview all the wrestlers. He was half the act too, and you had one of the legends of ring announcing there.
Right. Yeah, Rich Landrum.
Landrum.
He was there doing some of the interviews and doing some of the announcing. But this year we've got a different announcer this year. And like I said, if you come out to it, you won't be disappointed. It's family, fun-oriented show. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of entertainment. Tickets, people want to know how to get the tickets. You have the Sundial Tannin Salon in Floyd, Virginia. You can get tickets. You can get tickets actually at Patrick County High School and Honduras Coffee Shop in Stewart, Virginia. You can also get tickets, and anybody in this area that wants tickets as well.
The Sundial Premier Championship Sports in Floyd.
Mm-hmm. You can get them in Premier.
Sundial in Floyd. And then Honduras, of course, in Patrick County. You can get anything in Honduras, including a good cup of coffee. And the Patrick County High School, or at the door.
At the door, right.
Buy them at the door, which, if you're like me, you forget to get things until time to go.
$12 tickets for the floor ringside tickets, and I think it's $10 for the general admission bleacher seating.
Well, look, I wish you the best of luck. I hope you beat the heck out of that Zane Wolf guy. Take care of him once and for all. Settle this.
I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best.
Get your belt. Well, let me see. Let me see if I can do this. Saturday, October the 22nd, 2016, at the Patrick County High School Gymnasium, Stewart, Virginia. Cougar Clash 2. You be there. Bell time, 7:30. Doors open 6 p.m. Bring the family. Bring your wife. I'm telling you, your wife will love this show. It's great. It's a great show. Your kids will absolutely love this show. Bring your nephews. Let's get a lot of people to show that we really like this, so next year we can all go to Cougar Clash 3.
Sounds great to me.
And see Assassin 3 at Cougar Clash 3. Scott, it's been a pleasure. Come
I enjoy it.
Thank
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
And remember, it benefits the JROTC. Till next week.
Well, I've been here for a while. Easy living drives me wild, and it's time for me to see if there's some better place for me.